Jack's mind raced. This was getting more and more weird. He was now wondering why he would get some kind of emotions that he'd never experienced when he faced this lady. It wasn't that Jack hadn't met with beautiful women. Not at all. Kelly, who was seated not far from him, was considered a beauty. So he wondered to himself what was so special about this lady in that. Every time that he met her, his mind and heart raced. Jack was still staring at her intently when he was forced to change his gaze due to Anderson's question. "Hey, Jack, what or who are you staring at?" Jack looked at him for a moment before turning his gaze back towards the door. In the end, he found that the lady had already left. "So, to make this guy to stop spouting nonsense," he replied, "I was looking at someone by the door there. But she's gone. So, there's no need for you to worry about anything." "What do you mean by not worry?" "I have to worry that you may fail to get a partner for tonight's dance. That won't look good for you, considering that Benson is here. He would surely try getting into your head if you don't find a partner." Anderson refuted as he placed his plate on the table. Then, he looked at the others that were busy eating while chatting. He shook his head and said, "Everyone here has a partner. Look at that fatty over there. Look at that beautiful girl. She's his partner tonight. Look at that stick man over there. You see that plump lady? That's his wife. So, if you don't get a partner and everyone goes onto the dance floor, you would be the odd one out. Furthermore, if everyone is on the dance floor, then everyone can see you, who's seated while others are dancing." Anderson continued talking while ignoring Jack's strange gaze. "I had previously thought that there would be a nice lady that didn't come here with a partner. In the end, it seems that they all agreed to come in pairs. Whoops, I forgot. We agreed to come in pairs." Anderson showed a smile as he said these words. Jack wondered to himself if this guy was here to help him or he was here to tease him. But at the end of the day, he had no words to say about this. "What are you guys talking about?" William, who had somehow sneaked on them, asked curiously. "Jack doesn't have a partner for tonight's dance." Anderson replied with a chuckle. "He doesn't have a partner? I thought that we gave him 2 cards. William asked as he stared at Jack incredulously. "Did you see someone sitting beside him all this while?" Ismail asked. He wasn't someone that liked to speak too much because he was a short-tempered person. And looking at how the group had suddenly began grouping up, Jack couldn't help but feel speechlessness striking him. He then thought to himself, is not having a partner in a banquet a sin? Oh, now that you mention it, I didn't see anyone beside Jack. All this while, I had forgotten about that. William scratched the back of his head as he said these words. Of course you would forget about others when thinking about the time that you and your girl will be twisting your bodies on the dance floor. Kelly snorted. William could only cough in embarrassment because he knew whatever Kelly said was true. But he wasn't to blame. The girl that had accompanied him here tonight was definitely a beauty. Anyway, Jack was looking at a lady. He said that she was standing at that door over there. Anderson said after he felt that there was nobody that was going to talk. You mean that Jack has taken a fancy to a girl here? If so, I can help him get her, even if she's married. She'll just have to divorce her husband. The burly guy, Luke Ravon, spoke with a smile. What are you guys talking about? Do you know who's allowed to use that door? It's obviously the host of the banquet. So better not think about that lady if she was from behind that door. At this time, Ismail reminded. This brought everyone's thoughts back in line. As they thought of the scene where they wanted to connect Jack with the person that was related to the host of the event, they sweated a little. Come on, if even Ben has the guts to chase after a girl that's in the group of today's banquet hosts, how can Jack not qualify? I'm sure that even if it was a beautiful lady hosting this banquet, Jack can match her. At this time, William said with a smile. Yeah, the group agreed, making Jack even more speechless. These people were talking about him as if he wasn't there at all. By the way, my father told me that the host of today's banquet was a beauty. He told me that, with our family's current position, I cannot afford to offend her. Not even the Dante family can dare to do that. Anderson spoke. She's a beauty? Hee, right on time. She surely must be Jack's woman. Hey Jack, we'll have your back as you get that lady. William smiled brightly as he said jokingly. Upon seeing Jack's darkening handsome face, for some reason, the group got excited and decided to tease Jack even further. For today, the host would have the first dance before the others join in. So, Jack, better get ready to have the floor first. Right. By the way, the hotel was reserved. I'm sure that you can afford a presidential suite here. So, you can simply get her to a room in here. Jack, I can help you get engaged in this banquet. What engagement? They should get married straight away. What woman can resist Jack's charm? Jack felt that, He should just get onto his feet and give these guys a few punches on their heads so that they can start thinking well. He was just about to speak when the MC spoke. Well, then, you guys should be ready as today's host. No, the hostess of the banquet today will be on stage in 5 minutes. Not more than that by a second. Upon hearing these words, people in the hall began moving. Jack and the others went back to their position. They immediately set aside the matter about Jack's partner and began thinking about the hostess. They wanted to see her in person. A beauty, a rich beauty, a woman with a business mind. That was a good lady, a good wife that could help the family rise instead of falling. As soon as they got to their seats, Ben came once again. This time, he sat on a chair that was on Jack's right. On Jack's left, there was Anderson. Obviously, he was here to look for trouble with Jack. When he heard the praises that Jack had received from the others, he wanted to find a way that could suppress him. But of course, he wouldn't go straight to the point. Instead, he decided to start from another angle. Hey Jack, who's your dancing partner tonight? Jack was now getting sick of this. Why was everyone so obsessed with the dance? Wasn't it just a dance? But all the same, he still replied honestly. I don't have a partner for tonight. Ben looked at him as he thought that he was joking. But upon seeing Jack's serious face, he couldn't help but be dumbfounded. Then, he couldn't help but chuckle. Are you serious? You came here today without a dancing partner? Are you going to play a third wheel? Ben said with disdain. Jack didn't reply. After all, what could he say about this? Upon seeing that Jack wasn't speaking, he said, You are a man. The whole of you. You can't even hook up with a girl? How bad that is. I thought that you were so cool and that you could get a beautiful girl, a beauty that surpasses mine. William and the others frowned when they heard this. Kelly spoke up. Young Master Ben, what has Jack's personal life got to do with you? Higi, not that much. I just wanted to know more about my rival in racing tonight. Turns out that he's nothing special. Just a person that hangs out with a group that are as him. True, birds of the same feathers flock together. Ben replied. Young Master Ben, are you insulting us? Ismail, the short-tempered guy, asked with a darkened expression on his face. The others also didn't look good. On the other hand, Jack didn't say much, but he wasn't impressed at all. This guy seemed to be one that was used to getting things done his way. Only that, his target tonight was wrong. So, he frowned as he spoke. Young Master Ben, or whoever you're. I agreed to have a race with you, but I don't remember saying that you're allowed to speak about my personal life. So, as long as it doesn't concern you, you better stay out of it. Jack was used to being angered back in Alfonso Mansion. He had handled himself well. Thus, his voice was calm, not showing a trace of anger at all. But the look in his eyes was enough to say that he didn't like how things were. Ben and the others were stunned for a moment. Then, Ben laughed disdainfully and said, So what? Is there anything that you can do to me? As for your personal life, I'm not interested. It's just that my partner tonight is the hostess. In other words, it's like I'm the host of the event. In my banquet, I don't want some stray dogs. Author's note. Hello guys, thanks for the support till this point. I hope we'll continue this way. By the way, yesterday I was quite held up. So, I failed to update the chapters. But today, there will be 4 chapters to make up for yesterday's missing update. Hope you like it. Ben's words immediately made the crowd agitated. Previously, he had clearly stated that Jack and William and the others were the same, birds of the same feathers. Now that he was referring to Jack as a stray dog, it was obvious that he was insulting the whole group as a group or stray dogs. Anderson and the others were from the prestigious Big Five families of Inchoate City. When they were fooling around, they would usually gain the respect of their peers. Even George, who was from the Dante family, the family that was far bigger than the Tawal family, never treated them the way that Ben doing right now. As for his words that his partner for tonight was the hostess was ignored by the group the moment that he stated that Jack was a stray dog. Although Jack's tolerance was high, there was always a limit to how much he could endure. Even back at the Alfonso mansion, his half-siblings knew their own limit. They knew Jack's character very well as he had been in the Alfonso mansion since his childhood. He was the youngest of them all, and as a result, they had seen him growing up. So, although they were against him, they never did something that could make Jack angry in an open manner. They would usually do this in secret and then wait for Jack to speculate who was the one behind it. At the end of the day, as long as Jack had no evidence that they were the culprits, there was no way that he could name them. But now, there was someone who had straight to his face said that he was a stray dog. And this made him angry. He could accept being teased, but he could not accept a direct insult. The temperature around him dropped drastically. Those around couldn't help but shiver the moment that they noticed that Jack's mood wasn't that good. Even Ben felt a chill running down his spine the moment that he noticed that Jack wasn't looking good. He didn't know the reason as to why he was scared by Jack's angry expression, but this was the fear that he experienced without knowing the reason. As a young master of Blue City, he had obviously seen many angry faces, but this time it was the first time seeing an expressionless face, but cold eyes. After regaining his composure, he was just about to speak when a commotion rose among the crowd. Everyone in the group immediately shifted their attention towards the stage. The MC was already there, as there are only a few seconds to the 5 minutes timeline that he had given. Now, let us welcome the host of today's banquet, Mrs. Faith. As soon as these words flew out of the MC's mouth, the door behind the stage was opened and a very familiar lady to Jack stepped onto the stage. Jack could still remember this lady because she was there the 2 times that he had seen the lady who he thought that they shared some kind of link or fate. She was always by her side apart from today when he saw her alone by the door. As for the type of relationship that they shared, Jack was not sure about it now. Previously, she had called that girl Madam, but now she was hosting an event in her presence. Jack could not understand it all. Humph. Whom do they think they can cheat? She's not the host at all. Please adjust the hostess's assistant. At this time, Ben's grumpy voice was heard. Upon hearing his words, Jack could already guess who the hostess was. It had to be her. From Faith's attitude towards that girl, Jack could tell that she was in a lower position, and she seemed not to be hosting the event. As he looked at her, Jack could see that Faith was quite a beauty. In rating, she could be a 90 rated beauty. But this was not obviously the exaggerated beauty that Anderson had mentioned before. As if sensing Jack's question gaze, Anderson simply shrugged his shoulders. He had never seen the lady before. So, how could he know who was who? It was also at this time that Jack noticed something among the bigwigs attending. Their faces had frowns. It was obvious that they weren't expecting this at all. That told Jack immediately that the hostess had changed and wasn't going to show up. But for some reason, Jack felt his heart tighten and anger filled him the moment that he thought about Ben saying that his partner was the hostess. If Faith was the assistant, it implied that the girl, the one that Jack had met thrice, was the one that Ben was talking about. Faith's words immediately made Jack control his anger at this moment. Thank you all for coming to today's banquet. I know that most of you know that I'm not the host of the event, but just a stand-in. The young miss was having an emergency for a moment and would be here for the first dance, so you would be able to see her. The moment that Faith said the words "the first dance," the crowd began clamoring. They wondered who was going to be her partner this time. Ben was already smug after hearing that the young miss would be coming for the first dance. Previously, he had used his connections to meet up with her. When he heard that she was going to hold a banquet on this day, he had asked for the first dance. In the end, she didn't give him a positive reply. She had obviously refused the request. Even the moment that he was talking about her being his partner, that was all bluff. He wanted to use this to suppress Jack. In the end, who knew that the moment she noticed my presence in the hall, she immediately agreed to it. TSK, it seems that I'm still as charming as ever. Ben thought to himself. On the other hand, Jack couldn't understand his feelings at all. He had only met her 3 times. Neither of the times had they spoken a word to the other. But why was he getting angered the moment that he heard that Ben, such a playboy, was going to have a first dance with her? He took a deep breath and calmed himself. He was afraid that he would end up strangling Ben to death. After all, this guy had already made him angry before, and now he was getting angry for the reasons that he didn't know. But this was a world where the law ruled. If he dared to go physical on Ben with so many witnesses around, it was obvious that he would end up in court. This banquet wasn't prepared for my young miss, as the most of you know. But it's to open a company here in Inchoate City. This company wants to join the Inchoate City economy and community. So this banquet is being held in regards to that. But I won't speak that much. I'll let the banquet continue. After the dance, I'm sure that we can finally talk about business. Thank you. With that, Faith left the stage under the applause of the crowd. As soon as she disappeared, music rang in the hall. The lights in the entire hall immediately dimmed down as just above the dance floor, starlights lit up. The floor of the dance floor also lit up pale blue. The light was quite dim. In the entire hall, the multicolored starlight that came from the ceiling of the hall, directly landing on the dance floor, was breathtaking. The music that was ringing currently was a slow one. It was one that wouldn't need people to put in much effort when dancing. It was chosen due to those with old age. As for the younger generation, this was a romantic music, time to enjoy their time with their specific partners on the dance floor. The hostess was going to get onto the dance floor after this song reached the end. As the song went on, this was the time given to the attendees to prepare themselves for the dance. At the table that Jack was seated with the others, the atmosphere wasn't looking that good. William and the others could feel it. Even their own moods weren't good at all. After all, they had just joked about matching Jack with the hostess. In the next moment, it was said that she was going to dance with another person. Had it been someone else, they could at least accept it. But it was Ben, the scumbag, the one that was their enemy. Extremely arrogant and disdainful. A playboy and a troublemaker. They couldn't believe that this was happening just after he'd made them angry. But at the same time, they thought of something that made them somehow relax. This person had obviously made Jack angry. Who was Jack? He was previously a member of Alfonso family. One that even Steve and Brenda couldn't handle hurriedly. What did this mean? It meant that Jack wasn't someone simple. Now, Ben had offended him and had already made him angry. It was obvious that there would be consequences for his actions. As myriad of thoughts ran through their minds, a figure walked from the door behind the stage as she headed towards the dance floor. The curvaceous figure made some people swallow hard. Since the lights in the hall were dimmed, they couldn't see the figure's face. But they could already guess the extent of her beauty depending on her figure, her enchanting movements and confident steps. The crowd was forced to shut their mouths as they watched her approaching the dance floor. When she got onto the dance floor, from time to time, as some starlights landed on her face, they could already see the beautiful face. According to the traditions in the country, the person that was hosting an event, no matter if it was a man or a woman, they would be the ones to invite their partners if there was a first dance that was required. Now, as the music ended, everyone apart from the ones in Jack's group waited excitedly for the hostess to mention who the partner was.